What's it going to take for you to wake up? Hopefully this helps. Here, let me show you. Read this with me. Iranian media releases provocative video depicting sinking U.S. warship. Tehran's Mehr news agency has released a symbolic video titled Sinking a Pharaoh, depicting a U.S. warship engulfed in flames and coffins sinking into a blood-red sea. The propaganda, citing Quranic verses, coincides with the arrival of the USS Abraham Lincoln strike group in the Middle East. First thing I want to do is show you the video. Next, I want to show you this newspaper article. Take a look around. I'll tell you what it says. Okay, so the headline says this: "We know your plans." The subheadline says this: "Trump has put 4 conditions on the negotiating table aimed at effectively disarming Iran." And you can find the rest on Twitter, or you can go look this up on Google and go to the page yourself. But I want to explain even further. See, all week long, Iran has been comparing Donald John Trump to Pharaoh. I'm going to tell you the importance of that, because it's also seen here as well. Istanbul, President Donald Trump as seen as ancient Pharaoh, warning he would ultimately face the same fate as the past tyrants. Wait, one more article just to make sure you get this across. Iran's supreme leader posts image showing Trump as Pharaoh and warns of downfall. Compared the U.S. president to tyrants of the ancient world. Lately, I've done countless and countless videos trying my best to get you people in America to understand where you live and the significance of where you live and why it matters in these days to truly come out of there. And in those videos, you'll find a checklist in which America is the only one to check off every single box that is on the list for a description of Babylon the Great, made great again. Now, let's get back to the elephant in the room and this post made by Iran about the sinking of Pharaoh and also drowning the people of Pharaoh while you were looking on. Hold on to your hats. For those of you that have known me for 3 or 4 years now, I've been following this ministry on YouTube and Facebook, you know that I have a whole playlist and many videos explaining how America is the old world, America is where he was crucified, America is where most of the Bible took place, and the New World flipped the maps and changed everything, which is why Israel was just created technically only 47 to 48 years ago, which I talked about the importance of as well, about the fake Jews being in a made-up land that is not their own, things like that happens at the very end of the world. Well, I'm not going to get into all this depth today, but I'm going to tell you this, okay? Sodom and Gomorrah and Egypt are both the spiritual names that are given to Babylon the Great. I'll show you. Revelation chapter 11 verse 8 tells you this: "And their corpses shall lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt." Babylon the Great referred to also as Sodom and also as Egypt. Okay? Let's keep going. And because I know there are so many new believers and Christians on the page, I'm going to say this in case you don't know the Old Testament yet. What happened in ancient Egypt? "And I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." Okay? Meaning he literally brought them out of there. Moses and the Israelites out of there. Just like he brought Lot out of Sodom and Gomorrah, Sodom, Egypt. Just like he brought Abraham and Sarah out of Babylon of old, the Ur of the Chaldeans. Same thing, over and over again. The same way he brought the early church out of Jerusalem before its destruction. And the Bible tells you what has been done will happen again, and there's nothing new that happens under the sun. See, they think it's always such spiritual things only that's happening now, when he literally calls you out of Babylon the Great before it destroys, and few people come out, and the rest of the people remain behind. And he says, those people that remain behind, that are saying, this calamity shall not overtake me, or will pass over me, shall be numbered by the blade, in Amos chapter 9. This is why you better read this and pay attention. And I heard, this is Mystery Babylon the Great, the recovered head wound at the end of the world, where Babylon comes back one last time. That is also called Sodom, which is where Lot had to leave, and Egypt, where Moses and the Israelites literally had to leave. And I heard another voice from heaven say, go out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers in her sins, and that ye receive not her plagues. Once again, for you new Christians, which I love so much, okay? It says this, okay? We're Israel, by the way, a scattered people. That's what it says. No longer Jew, nor Gentile, nor slave, nor free, nor male, nor female, as Galatians teaches. It says that we are grafted onto the tree, with him as the vine, us as the branches, to produce fruit, as children, sons, and daughters of the Most High. That is Israel. That is us. Not the nation of Zionism created over there today, that claim to be Jews but are not, and are a made-up land that is not their own. See, in Egypt, back then, the people of Israel were called out of Egypt. Okay, they crossed the sea. The sea made a wall on both sides. And the Pharaoh and all the Egyptian soldiers and all of those came and tried to capture them. However, what happened next was, you then have the Most High tell Moses to stretch out his hand upon the sea, and then the waters were called back onto the Egyptians and all of his army that was trying to capture those Israelites, and it drowned all of them, as you read in this chapter, as I encourage you to do in your own time. So that's the waters brought upon the Egyptians and things like that. However, what about the fire? Well, in Sodom, you have Lot literally going out and trying to warn the people to literally get out of that place, for the Lord was going to destroy that city. But no one listened to him. Lot and his family left. His wife looked back, and the whole place was destroyed by fire, which is why Babylon the Great is going to be destroyed by water and fire. I'll prove it to you. Here's Jeremiah's prophecy about Babylon the Great that comes back at the end of the world, and is to be done away with forever, not come back again. And thou that dwellest upon many waters, just like as it describes Mystery Babylon the Great in 17, 18, and 19, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, even the end of thy covetousness. But let's see what happens next in this. You have the king of Babylon, and I'm going to get to that Nebuchadnezzar here in a minute, who hath devoured me and destroyed me. He hath made me an empty vessel, and hath swallowed me up like a dragon, and filled his belly with my delicacies, and has cast me out. See, this is why we go through the winepress of Noahide law, and the saints are slaughtered in this whole sense of this whole thing happening, but you also have some of them being cast out of there. But pay attention to what else happens next. Fun fact, Nebuchadnezzar and Donald John Trump both share the same gematria of 888, which the beast with the recovered head wound is of the 7, but is the 8th. See, in the Babylon that comes back at the end of the world, that'll never come back again, it says this is part of the destruction. The sea is come upon Babel. He is covered with the multitude of waves thereof. Her cities are left desolate. The land is dry and a wilderness, a land wherein no man dwelleth, neither doth the Son of Man pass thereby. This is why if you keep reading the same chapter, it reiterates. It says, because the Lord hath laid Babel waste, and destroyed from her the great voice, and her waves shall roar like a great waters, and the sound was made by their noise. Then this should make sense to you, and why there's a future naval flood map depicted for the United States of America, which indeed will be the natural disaster needed to round up the saints, round up the people for safety and security and pestilence and famine, and then do exactly as he says he's going to do. First by water, Egypt, then by fire, just like Sodom and Gomorrah. And Babel, the glory of kingdoms and the beauty and pride of the Chaldeans, of the Chaldeans, shall be as destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. So I told you, of the Chaldeans, Abraham and Sarah had to leave. Egypt, Moses and the Israelites had to leave. Sodom, Lot had to leave. And what do you know? Now you have Babylon the Great, destroyed by water and fire, exactly as the kingdoms of old were. But I want to show you exactly how this could very well take place. See, this behind me is called a Poseidon rocket, which was developed by Russia, and is said to be able to cause a tsunami to take out a lot of places by water, a huge tsunami. So, do the math with that yourself. Because the same rockets that can cause destruction by water can also cause destruction by fire. So, if you don't get it by now, you're probably not going to. The problem is, many people have turned things that are literal all throughout the Bible into some spiritual thing now. And yet, the word is very clear. You have a lot of passages to deny today to state otherwise. Okay? So I'm going to leave it all out there for you. You can put it together yourself how you want and add this to the mountains and mountains of other scriptures I've presented in many, many other videos proving America to be Mystery Babylon the Great, and also proving the times that we are in today. All right, peace, peace, peace. And then sudden prediction claimed the short horn of the short season, of the short scroll, and the short book that was bitter and sweet. First is sweet, peace, 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 and then is bitter, destruction. Hope you're prepared for what's coming next.